The night was cold, not the normal kind of cold. The kind that enters your bones and makes you question everything you believed. The disciples were in a boat, not on a calm sea, not on a peaceful river, but in the middle of a raging storm. Waves were slamming the sides of the boat like fists. Wind was screaming like an angry voice, and the darkness of the night made it worse, because storms are always louder when you can't see the end of them. They had done everything right. They had obeyed Jesus. They had entered the boat like he said. But obedience doesn't always mean no storms. And while they were fighting to stay afloat, they saw something. At first, it looked like a shadow, a figure. Moving across the water, walking, not sinking, walking. Fear grabbed them immediately. Because when you're already scared, even miracles can look like monsters. They cried out, "It's a ghost." But then a voice came through the storm. Not a loud voice, not a struggling voice. A steady voice, "Be of good cheer. It is I, do not be afraid." And suddenly, everything changed, because storms don't stop when Jesus speaks. But fear stops when you recognize his voice. Then Peter. The same Peter that had a mouth faster than his mind. The same Peter that always spoke first. He did something that shocked everyone. He didn't ask Jesus to stop the storm. He didn't ask Jesus to calm the waves. He asked something deeper. "Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water." That request was wild. Because Peter wasn't asking for safety, he was asking for authority to do the impossible. And Jesus answered with only one word, "Come." That's it. No long prayer, no explanation, no motivational speech, just one word. Because one word from Jesus is stronger than 1,000 waves. Peter looked at the boat. The boat was familiar. The boat was comfortable. The boat was the place of human control. But the boat was also the place where he was still trapped by fear. And then Peter did the unthinkable. He lifted one leg and stepped out. Listen. He didn't step on water, he stepped on the word. Because the only thing holding Peter up wasn't the sea, it was the command. And for a moment, Peter was walking, a man doing what men cannot do. A human defying nature, a disciple walking toward his Savior. Not because the storm became calm, but because his focus became clear. But then, he looked around. He noticed the wind, he measured the waves, he remembered reality, and the moment he changed his focus, faith started sinking. Because the storm you look at will always feel bigger than the Savior you ignore. Peter began to drown, and he didn't have time for long prayers. He didn't have time for fancy words, he just cried out, "Lord, save me." And immediately, Jesus reached out his hand. Not after Peter proved himself, not after Peter apologized, immediately. Because Jesus doesn't wait for perfect faith. He responds to honest faith. Jesus pulled him up and said, "O you of little faith, why did you doubt?" And they got back into the boat. And the storm calmed, but don't miss this part. Peter was the only one that felt water under his feet. The others watched a miracle. Peter experienced it. The others stayed safe. Peter stepped out. The others stayed in comfort. Peter stepped into calling, and yes, Peter sank. But sinking doesn't mean failure, because if you're sinking, it means you were bold enough to step out. And even when he sank toward Jesus. So today, if Jesus is calling you, don't wait for the storm to stop. Don't wait for conditions to be perfect. Don't wait until you feel strong enough, because faith is not walking on calm seas. Faith is stepping out while the wind is still loud, just because Jesus said, "Come."